Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here, and today I am sharing some Hello Friend Snowflake themed cards using components from the Simon Says Stamp January 2021 card kit of the month. And this is my third project using this kit. It is probably my favorite kit of all time from Simon Says Stamp. And I thought it would be really fun to show how you can take the components from this kit. It's a January kit, so it's not really holiday themed. Obviously, you can definitely make it holiday if you want to, but I really love the aspect of taking winter type of product and creating any type of card. So for instance, today we're doing hello cards. You could, make them birthday cards or any type of occasion that falls in the winter months if you want to. One of my favorite tips for working with pattern paper where I want a specific section of the pattern paper to be the background is to use a background die to die cut that. In this case, I used a basic rectangles die from Simon Says Stamp, the largest A2 sized background. And that worked perfectly, and I was able to die cut just the section that I wanted to for each background. Next, I am taking this beautiful shimmer snowflake die from Simon Says Stamp, and we are going to die cut this from the background of each of these background panels. So it's going to be kind of an inlay type of design. The shimmer snowflake is actually two pieces. It's an outer piece that die cuts the snowflake shape and the two stitching lines that go around it, and then there's an inner piece that die cuts the more intricate design. What I thought would be fun and would have absolutely zero waste is to flip that snowflake over and place it or inlay it into the background design. Now, because we're flipping it over, it might not have the best of detail to it, so there's a couple things you can do. If you're like me and you use your cutting plates and your die cutting machine a lot, there might be some texture on that piece because it's against, since it's the back of the paper, it's going against the cutting plate that has all the cuts in it. I flipped mine over and just placed that inner piece back over it and die cut it again. It's not really die cutting it, it's more pressing the stitching lines into it. And that kind of flattens everything out, plus reinforces the design. I'm also stamping the Hello Friend sentiment from the Snowflake Season 6x8 stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. This is included in the January card kit or available for individual purchase. I stamped this with clear embossing ink on white cardstock, and I'm heat embossing with silver embossing powder. Both the embossing powder and the ink I'm using are from Lawn Fawn today. I had originally started out with platinum embossing powder from Hero Arts, but it wasn't quite the right color for these cards. I was afraid silver wasn't going to emboss really well, but it actually ended up embossing perfectly, so I don't really know what I was worried about there. Anyway, then I just took some infinity circle dies to die cut the circle shape. A die set like this is invaluable because it just comes in so handy. I originally did use a little bit bigger circle die to die cut my circle so I could have the whole design with that little stitching line around the outer edge, and it just wasn't quite working for me. I don't know if it was too much white or what it was, so I actually just took the next size down and die cut my circle. Now I am kind of doing all of these steps for my first card, and that's because I wanted to see if it was going to work before I do assembly line style, and I do 3 more. Every project I have done for or with this January kit, I have done multiple cards. I just can't get enough. In fact, I used every sheet of pattern paper that came in the kit. That is really unheard of for me, but this is literally my favorite pattern paper release of 2020. Bar none, absolutely amazing. Every piece of pattern paper is beautiful. There isn't one that I would, discard or never use. I love every single piece. It's just really, really good. It's from Whimsy Stamps. I just, if it is sold out and you just want more pattern paper, because I did order more of this pattern paper because I love it so much, sign up to be notified when it comes back in stock. You'll get a notification letting you know. That's how I ended up getting it, because I originally missed out when it first came in. It is just beautiful, beautiful pattern paper. Now, to create the inlay design there that I just did, I actually just took the outer snowflake shape and die cut it from the holographic cardstock included in the kit. We'll go over that here again in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and kind of prep everything I need for my cards now. I liked how that design turned out. I still have some stuff to do to it, but I'm just going to set it aside for a minute, and I'm going to trim apart some of these sentiment strips. Sorry about that. These are the Everything Winter sentiment strips. I am trimming mine apart because I don't want to foil all of them. Yes, I'm going to foil them. If you haven't caught any of my videos where I've done this before, the sentiment strips from Simon Says Stamp are printed with toner ink. That means they will foil. I really love doing the black sentiment strips because that means the whole strip is foiled, but it's also nice if you just want a tiny bit of foil on these white background ones, which I do because I think it's going to tie in to the holographic cardstock we're using for the background of our snowflake. So I'm just going to grab, I think I grabbed 5 sentiments. I'm only using 4, but that's okay. I wasn't exactly sure which ones I wanted to use, so I'm just kind of snipping them apart, trimming them into strips, all of the things, and that way I only foil the ones I'm using, and I'm not going to foil the whole sheet. Now, you totally could. If you think you're going to use all of these sentiments foiled, I've done that too. I foiled the whole sheet, I snip them apart, and I just use them on different projects. So there's lots of ways to do that. I didn't want to limit myself, so I am only foiling these. Like I said, I think I foiled 5. So I do have one left over that's got some foil on it. We're going to put the rest of these back in my storage pocket, make sure I've kind of got everything trimmed up the way I want, and then we can move this out of the way. We're ready for the assembly line style. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about my process for designing. I have already die cut all of the backgrounds with a basic rectangle. Then we're taking the shimmer snowflake and we're die cutting them both from the background. That's because we're going to use both pieces. Come to think of it, I think what it would have worked better, and I only realized it just now, that sometimes happens with voiceovers. I could have die cut the outer snowflake and taken that outer snowflake then, or the piece that die cuts from it, flipped it over and just die cut the kind of filigree type of design from the other side of the cardstock. I think if I had to do it again, that's what I would do. It really didn't matter. It just was kind of an extra step here, I guess. Since I wanted to make sure that the detail of that was pressed in there, I ran it through my die cutting machine with that centerpiece again anyway. So that's just a little tip. If you want to do something similar, I would do the outline just from the background, flip that snowflake over, run it through with the centerpiece to add the design. I also didn't put all of them in the center like I did for the first one. We've got a couple hanging off the sides, one in the lower right, one in the upper left, and then 2 kind of in the center. We've got our white top fold card bases here that I'm going to put some nice strong adhesive on, and then we're going to replace our pattern paper background panel. I've die cut the snowflake shape from the holographic cardstock included in the January kit. That's going to peek through the beautiful kind of filigree, or it's called shimmer, I guess, of this die. So it's going to have all those wonderful little silver shimmers. It's pretty on its own. I think you could honestly punch a hole in it and make it a Christmas tag if you wanted to, add some sort of sentiment or design to it. I think there's a lot of things you could do with this. It's a beautiful snowflake. And then I'm going to put some craft tacky glue. This is from Simon Says Stamp on the back of my snowflake and layer it over the silver snowflake. What I love is because the pattern paper, generally what's on the back coordinates with what's on the front, it's just a slight variation and just enough different that it really makes the snowflake show up. And again, no waste, which I really, really love. We're replacing the center Hello Friend circle, which I also stamped, embossed, and die cut off camera, all of those extra ones, to save a little bit of time today. And that's going to be adhered in the center of our big snowflake. Now, really, because the pattern paper is so beautiful, you could scatter a few gems or sequins or whatever, or even not if you want it to be even more simple, and call the cards good at this point. You wouldn't have to add anything else. But you are on my channel, and you guys know, if you already follow me, you know I kind of tend to go overboard. And I thought, why not? Why not just go ahead and die cut a bunch more snowflakes? Because Simon Says Stamp has some of the most beautiful snowflake dies, and I love die cutting. So I die cut the Kate, RYLYNN, MARISA, and Snow Flurries dies from the holographic cardstock. The little teeny tiny ones are just from scraps of that holographic cardstock, white glitter cardstock, and a white pearlescent cardstock. So they're all kind of more neutral white, blend into the background a little bit more. We want the big shimmer snowflake to be the star of the show, but I like this supporting cast of characters, if you will. And I just really, really love all of the snowflake dies from Simon Says Stamp. I know I just said that. It bears repeating because I really do. They're going to be hanging off the edges, and you can kind of see how it just balances out the background perfectly. Once I have all of my snowflakes where I want them to go, I'm going to let that glue dry. Then I'm going to flip my whole card over and take some nice long shears, some scissors. I have this great pair from Tim Holtz, and I'm going to snip away the excess snowflakes before I embellish. But I'm putting acrylic blocks on top, helping hold down those dies while the glue is drying. Just kind of holds everything nice and flat. And I tried to kind of keep it consistent. All of the cards have the same amount of snowflakes, even though the shimmer snowflakes in maybe a different area on each design. I guess 2 of them are in the center. I just tried to keep it kind of consistent and balanced as far as the placement of my snowflakes. And you can see I started with the bigger ones, and then I'll fill in with any little ones there. I will tell you too that RYLYNN snowflake is probably my favorite snowflake of all time. Oh, I say that, but there's so many good ones. But I really, really like how that one die cuts. I don't know what it is about it, but I just think it's beautiful. And just the different assortment of them. Simon has a lot of different snowflakes. It was fun revisiting my stash of snowflakes. They've added a couple this year, but a lot of mine I've had, you know, every year they come out with a few more. And so it was super fun revisiting all the different snowflakes and kind of mixing and matching them. And you can really see now on all the different color backgrounds how beautiful the white and kind of holographic snowflakes blend into the design. So they don't take away from our shimmer snowflake at all. They just kind of blend into the background and reinforce that snowy, blurry flurries, that's what the pattern paper collection is called, theme. We're using our craft tacky glue again to glue everything down. Any of the little pieces, I did use some craft tweezers, like for any of the teeny tiny snowflakes, to hold on to them while I put glue on, helping to keep my fingers out of the glue and all of that good stuff. And once I have everything down in place where I want it to go, Again, we're going to trim away anything hanging off of the edge, but I do kind of like to wait until that glue has dried. It's going to snip off a lot nicer and not leave you with a huge mess. Then we're going to embellish any snowflakes that have a little die cut center to them with a white jewel. So I'm going to just add a little dab of glue to any of those, and then I'm using an embellishment wand or a jewel picker, anything like that, just something that helps you pick up small embellishments and small little bits and pieces and popping those jewels in place. You could use sequins or glitter Nouveau crystal drops if you don't have enough gemstones. You could even use colored gemstones. I kept to white. Again, I want that big snowflake to be the star here, star of the show. So I kept everything else pretty neutral, but I wanted a little touch of sparkle to kind of go with that holographic cardstock. And holographic cardstock is just all the rage right now, and I am really, really digging it. I wasn't sure if I was going to. I'm always a little bit slow jumping on bandwagons. I don't know what it is, but I just always am. But I have fully embraced it. I have used it quite a bit during the holiday season, and you can see how you can use it even beyond very successfully here with this card design. Once we have all of our cards embellished, it's time to foil our sentiments. So remember a little bit earlier, we trimmed them all apart. I kind of cleaned everything up. I'm going to grab my ink machine. It is not going to fit in the screen very well because I have the big one. I sort of wish I had the small one for video purposes, but I don't. So we're going to make this do. I'm going to stick them in the paper or the carrier here and put some silver foil. I just grabbed something. I think this is a Heidi Swap foil. It was loose in my box where I keep my foils, and I'm going to run it through. You want to put the decorative side up and the kind of duller side down. That duller side is actually the foil. It's going to go through and heat and be on anything that's been printed with toner ink. So it's kind of slow going through the machine here, but that's okay. And when I pull it out and grab those little sentiment strips, they are going to be foiled. It's a really teeny tiny detail that I actually think makes a very big difference in the overall design. I like that there is no black text on my cards and that everything is colorful. I talk about this a lot, but color choice with ink for sentiments is a big deal. I think it really makes or breaks a card. I think black ink would take away from this design, whereas the silver foiled sentiment just blends right in and reinforces and adds that extra little bit of text that I wanted for these cards, but it just doesn't, it flows with the whole theme of these designs. So I will add these with a little foam adhesive, and that is going to be it for this set of 4 cards featuring the January 2021 Simon Says Stamp Snowflake Season Card Kit. If you haven't picked up your kit yet, I believe there are some left. You can also pick up the kit components, a lot of them individually. I hope this has inspired you to maybe use some of your winter themed product to create cards that are not for the holidays, but for beyond the holiday season. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these die cut cards. The supplies I used to create the cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring the January 2021 Card Kit Snowflake Season. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.